There we go. I don't know what happened. Something was wrong with the internet. I could not get started with my stream, but I figured it out. I think we're live. I think everything is working. So hopefully, you are all ready to start doing some painting with me. Apologies for the delay. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with me here today. My name is Irene. I think most of you know me, but if I am new to you, my name is Irene and I do a weekly sketchbook session here online. Hi Carol, really lovely to see you. I had to reschedule yesterday's session because I was hosting a workshop in London, so today we are going to do some watercolor painting. My friend gave me this book yesterday, which is a drawing diary with 365 drawing prompts for the whole year. So I'm now thinking of doing this as a 360 challenge where I'm making a little drawing every day. So I still had this on my desk. I'm not going to start it today, but this is my plan for the new year. I wonder if anyone else has any plans or any any ideas about doing 360 sort of drawing challenges or painting challenges or any other art challenges for the new year. I would really recommend it. It is a lot of fun and it can really sort of elevate your creative practice. So this might be the one that I'm going to go doing in the new year. But let's put that aside. There we go. I am going to use this sketchbook. I have a bit of a cold today, so if I sort of suddenly sneeze or have to blow my nose, I really apologize, but it's, I have this stinking cold that I just don't know where it came from. There's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. I'm going to use this sketchbook. It's my Strathmore sketchbook, my mixed media sketchbook. And I've already put a clip on. This was a painting I made a little while ago, so I have this empty page here, and I would really like to paint something there. And I'm thinking of doing like something not similar, but another landscape, something that these pages will sort of work together really nicely. I really like the warm colors in this picture as well. And I've already painted something on the other side, but I needed two pages for this one. So I skipped one, so I think this is a really nice opportunity to fill that side of the paper. So let's put a clip on. There we go. And you can see some reference photos here in the top right hand corner of the screen. And those reference pictures are from Unsplash. I have not actually decided what I'm going to paint yet. I was just going to go through these landscapes to see if I find something that sort of catches my attention that I like. I like this one, a little church. Let's have a look to see what I could paint. I really like this as well. Another church. Maybe I fancy drawing a building today. There must be something about it. I also really like this sort of nature picture. I want to do something that sort of goes with the other page, so it works together nicely and the spread sort of makes sense. So this is how I'm approaching this today. So just quickly making sure everything is working. This is lovely. Thank you so much for joining in. There we go. So, the materials that I'm going to use today are my watercolor paints. So I have this set. I've recently topped up this set with some extra color. So these four are new to me. I've not actually used them yet. I've just filled the pens and I need to see what colors they come out. I'm hoping that this orange is really similar to the orange that I used to have, that I run out of, that I emptied. But I don't know what brand and what color it was, so I just had to, be in the art store and pick a color that I think might be the same. So hopefully it is the same lovely orange warm color that I've used before. But yeah, this is my set of watercolors that I'm going to use. I have some water here as well and some brushes. And I was thinking of making a little sketch with my water soluble pencils. Here we go. And let me move the reference picture a little bit. So I will zoom in a bit more. There we go. So as I said, the reference picture is from Unsplash and it is royalty free. You can download it there and you can see the name of the photographer in the top corner. There we go. So I hope you're ready to do a bit of painting with me today. So you can see I'm all cozied up at home. It's a bit cold today. So, hi Linda. I'm glad that it worked. I had a bit of trouble getting the internet connecting earlier, so it took me a bit longer to come live. But here I am, and I am ready to get started. So hopefully you are too. There we go. Now I'm all set up. I'm going to work on this reference picture, and I am going to just make a little bit of a sketch. I'm using that photo to inspiration, but as you can see, I might sort of match the colors a little bit more with this page. When you feel ready, you can join in or work on your own project. Is anyone painting along today? So, I've spent the whole morning creating podcasts and editing podcasts. I am working on some new podcasts, like solo podcasts, which is a little bit new to me. I usually work with podcast guests, and I always felt a little bit sort of hesitant to do a solo podcast because I wasn't quite sure if I would have enough interesting things to say just by myself. And if you work with guests, there's so many questions you can ask, and you automatically have that that conversation sort of flowing. But I wasn't quite sure. I felt a bit insecure to do a solo podcast. But recently I wrote some things down, and I realized that in my business and the way I run my business, that people have a lot of questions about how I do things and about my experience. And I do feel like I have a lot to teach people. I have a lot of things, a lot of experience that might be helpful for people. So I decided to start recording some podcasts. I did some mentoring with some new beginning illustrators. And I just realized that actually I have quite a lot to share just by myself. So that's the reason why I decided to do the podcast. And it's been a lot of fun recording it and thinking about what to share and what to say. So the first podcast is going to come out tonight. And it is all about the changes I made in my business in the last year. And then I also include some downloadable sheets with all the materials and technology and software that I use to create my courses, because I know a lot of people have questions about that. So that's been a lot of fun to create as well, to make a list of all the materials that I use and which ones to include. And I don't include all the art materials that I have because the list would be super long, with the most important ones. So does everyone have a little bit of a sketch? The sketch it's okay if it's a bit messy, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just focus on the large shapes, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail from there. Yes, I like the orange look of the mountains, and then some blue and green for the trees. Let's see, I don't think it's going to be quite as colorful as this one. Let's see if I can get these two landscapes to match a little bit. There we go. I'm really sorry, I've got such a runny nose. I know it's not very nice to watch someone blow their nose, but there's not much I can do about it, I'm afraid. So, let's start with some colors. So if you are familiar with my painting techniques, you might know that I really like to start with base colors. So let's grab a bit of a larger brush. I really like to start with base colors and then slowly go into more detail. This is something a painting technique that I use a lot in my community. So I'm really excited about trying this orange, see how these colors come out. This is a bit wobbly, I might need to glue this brush. So I'm really going from the larger shapes slowly into more and more detail. So add in some of that white. There we go. So this is all going to be lake here. You can see that I'm having a really loose approach. I'm using that photo for inspiration, but I'm not necessarily copying the photo exactly. My proportions are a little bit different, and I'm really just using it for inspiration. And the pencil I use to make my sketch is a water-soluble pencil. So those colors will mix up a little bit with my paints as well. So this is a Payne's Grey. I always find it a bit hard to pronounce. That I'm using here, and it has a bit of a bluish tone. There we go. If anyone has any questions about materials, about life, about anything, feel free to ask away. So there we go. Also, if you are painting alone, people sometimes find it a bit scary to share their art, but if you share your art on Facebook or on Instagram or somewhere else, please share that with me. Tag me in your post, or share it with me like another way by tagging, maybe using hashtags don't work very well anymore, but you can tag me in post, and then I'll definitely see it. Because I love to see people's art. It's really fun for me to know that people are painting along, and to know that they that you're creating with me and what you're making. So it's make sure you share it with me, because it's really wonderful. It's like a little gift to me if you share your artwork. So there we go. So I'm just going for kind of loose strokes, a little bit messy. There we go. Maybe a bit more green here. Yeah, so the podcast I just recorded is all about why I started to create online courses. I used to do a lot of Zoom classes. So if you are quite new to painting with me, you might not know this, but about a year and a half ago, I used to run lots of individual Zoom classes. I had a painting class on Monday, a drawing class on Tuesday, and Wednesday a charcoal class, lots and lots of different classes. And at some point I realized that I had to scale my business a bit, because of course I love making art, but it's also my business, it's what I make a living out of. And I had to scale my business a bit, and I had to think about what would be the right sort of way of doing that. And the options were, there was multiple options, but the things I considered was creating more Zoom classes. So instead of doing 8 a week, start doing 16, and then that way you can sell more tickets and you have different time slots, and it would get busier. But that also meant that I had to start working a significantly more amount of hours. And the other option was to stop doing individual Zoom classes and really focus on courses and my online membership community. So that's what I did, that second option. Of course, I could have also made changes. I could have done other things, but this is the two things I considered, and I decided to go for the second option. And then I started with my courses, and since then I've created about 10 courses. I have my online community. There's a lot of members. We all paint together sort of on a weekly basis, and it's all a bit more intricate than what we do now. So there's a bit more help setting up a sketch. There's challenges. It's a different approach to just what we are doing right now when I'm chatting and just painting. I'm so sorry, I've got such a runny nose. I decided to start doing that, and the community is a really great way for me to add lots of extra value, because in Zoom classes, every class that I was running had to be suitable for people who never painted with me before. Everything that I did had to be suitable for new people. So that meant that people who were painting with me for a little bit longer also had to start from scratch every time, which I don't think they minded too much. People are very patient. But it's nice to be able to elevate that and teach a bit more and go into a bit more depth. And I was really craving, going a little bit deeper and teaching some more advanced skills, and to also to create something and then build on that teaching the next week or the next month. So this is one of the reasons why I changed it as well. So I just recorded a whole podcast that speaks about that in much more depth. But yeah, that's sort of the gist of it. And it's interesting. I'm enjoying it. This is sort of the time of year where we're all thinking about what the future is going to hold. Right? What are we doing next year? What went well last year? What do we want to do more of? What do we want to do less of? It's really that time of reflection, and I do find that a lot of fun to do. I think it's important to do that, and it also it really helps us sort of prepare for the new year. So you can see I am mixing up all my colors. I'm going in quite messy. There we go. I'm just quickly checking. I'm also streaming this on Instagram. Instagram has a new feature where you can stream videos from your desktop. So I thought I'm going to see if that works. If it doesn't work at all, then I'll have to delete it after. But that's okay. You need to practice these things and try them out, right? So that's what I'm doing as well right now. It also means that the video is more horizontal, I think. So I'm going to look back at it later, see what the look of that stream on Instagram is. So I know a lot of you are still on Facebook. When I say still on Facebook, loads of people are on Facebook. But I don't spend lots of time there. I know I should be on there a little bit more often, because a lot of people who join my courses spend time there. But it's not. I don't find it the most sort of positive energy there most of the time. So I do a bit more on Instagram. And I'm enjoying Threads at the moment, where I'm sharing things. And I sort of choose what social media to spend my energy on. So a bit more orange. So you can see I'm going in a bit more bright than what you see in the photo. Slowly working out what colors to go for. I will need to let this dry at some point, because this is going to be quite messy, of course. So I will need to let it dry and then slowly start adding in a bit more detail. Very happy with that orange color. It's not quite the same color as the orange that I had before. Let me see if I have an example of that. Yeah, it was more of a yellow tone. This is definitely more warmer orange. So I need to continue the search for that color. That is okay. I don't mind continuing the search. I love trying out art materials. So this messy painting technique is one that I really enjoy. This is mixed media paper that I'm using, and it is quite well suited to watercolors, but you can see it buckles a little bit. So, there we go. I think I might be slowly reaching the point where I need to let things dry a bit. I do like this color scheme, so that orange and green. I think it goes together quite well. It's not too cold here, Linda. It's just because I'm a little bit ill. I've covered up with lots of layers of wool. I think I just burnt the candle a bit on both ends in the last 2 weeks. I was running lots of workshops and had to go to London a few times, and I have been out and about, and I hosted an open studio at my art studio last weekend, which was a lot of fun. My studio is in Cambridge at Together Culture. If you look on my Instagram account, you can find lots of information on there. I share quite a lot of photos of what I'm doing in the studio. I've just used a bit too much energy, I think, so it's okay. I'm not terribly ill. I just have this cold. That is it. I think I'm going to quickly grab a hairdryer and dry these layers. I want this wood at the front to look more like that bark. At the moment it just looks like a blob of paint. There's quite a lot of detail that I want to add to this. I do think it's quite funny. I had the paint cover this part at first. But I think it's quite nice to show you, so you can sort of see the style that I'm working in. I've sort of purposefully tried to match the style a little bit so the pictures go together. Well, let me grab my hairdryer. So, there we go. So, I apologize for the noise. I think I'll turn my my microphone away for a moment. So, but I know it will be a bit noisy. There we go, lots of noise, and you can see that this is almost dry. There's a few places here that it's still a bit wet, but most of it is dry, and the colors look much softer than they did before. So this is something that usually when you paint on watercolors and you add multiple layers, once they're dry, they tend to dry lighter. So this looks a bit less intense, less colorful than it did a moment ago. And I'm going to start adding some more colors to it. There we go. So I'm using the same brush. This is quite a large brush for the size of the picture that I'm making. You see, it's quite a large size, which I quite like. So I'm just going to start adding in a little bit more detail. Make something a bit more cohesive out of this mess. So I'm mixing up a bit of that Payne's grey with a bit of green. I'm going for slightly darker color here. So, there we go. And I'm looking at those trees. So, start adding in some of these shapes. Hey, there we go. I'm sort of aiming to keep this quite loose on purpose. It doesn't all have to be sort of super detailed. I'm letting go of perfectionism. It's all about finding something that represents those shapes. So when I work in my sketchbook, I don't tend to aim for photorealism. So maybe I'll add in a bit more of this color. And also I love having a bit of rainbow colors in my pictures. See, here I'm adding in some purple. I mixed up some of that purple with that Payne's grey. It's quite a dark color. And this is just something that I really enjoy. I love adding in, mixing up some things that are a little bit more, I'm just using my imagination a bit. So, the thing is, when you're painting, when you take a photo, you want sort of the colors to reflect what you see in reality, right? But when you're painting, you have the freedom to change things and to really make it your own, to really, to tell a story in the way that you want to tell it. And there's no right or wrong. If you want to, make the sky purple and the ground blue and the water green, you can do so. I think sometimes we forget that, our art is our own and that we are allowed to make these changes and to be playful and just to have fun. And we sometimes take things so serious. A lot of people take art so serious. It has to be in a certain way. It has to be, it has to look a certain way. You need to sell it. You need to show it to people. But art can be so many different things for so many different reasons. So, looking at this shape here. So you can also see that I am still making things up a bit. I have a bit of a plan, but a lot of this is just about play and about just seeing what happens. Can you sort of see that it's inspired by this photo, even though it looks very different? So no pressure, we're just creating things that feel right now in the moment. And I quite like these sort of blobby, messy shapes. I know I can use some of these watercolor pencils to add a bit more detail before I'm finished. So, and there's a lot of different ways of painting a landscape as well. This is just one of them. This is just a technique that I enjoy practicing today. Sometimes I go in much more detailed. Sometimes I go in with more of a plan, where I sketch out much more. Like it's not like, oh, I've done this once, so this is how you have to do it. No, this is just what felt right for me today. Sometimes people forget that I'm still on a learning curve as well. I'm very experienced with painting and with drawing. I just realized that I have made art, I've painted or I made a drawing almost every single day for 5 years. I might have missed a day here sort of once in a while, when I'm on holiday or when there's lots of other things going on. I have missed days, but I have been very consistent with making my art. So I have made art I can look some exemptions, but every single day for 5 years. And of course that creates like an experience. but I'm still learning. There's so much to explore and to try. There's so many art materials, so many different styles, so many different techniques, so many masters that I would love to learn from. I think if I would say, oh, I'm finished learning and this is it, my journey is over, then I would miss out on so much. So yeah, there's definitely a continuous learning for me still as well. There's no such thing as mastering a skill and then you stop learning, I think. So I want a bit of that pink here. I like some of that pink in the skies, and then I also want it to come back here. So I like using a specific color and then letting it come back in another area as well. This is something that I enjoy in my paintings, in my color use. I'm hosting another workshop tonight for my limited color palette course that is sort of in this swing of things in the middle. This is the third live session that I'm hosting for it, and there are 6 in total, so we're halfway. And we're painting in muted colors tonight, so that is a very different style from this. I need to remember to tone things down. Although I think all this brown, there's a lot of muted colors in here as well for now. So I just keep carrying on. Maybe a little bit of yellow, and then I'm going to add some details with pencil. How long have I been painting? About half an hour, that seems about right. So some yellow. I want some warm yellow. I definitely need another yellow to complement my set, because I have this lemon yellow and this a lemon yellow, and now this orange, which is much more orange than the color that I had before. And that's not quite, I never really used this lemon yellow. I will add it in now. It also goes quite well with the colors on this side of the paper, but it's not really a color I use very much in my art. I like a slightly more warmer tone. So there we go. I think I'm going to let this dry again. Is this the sort of painting that you were expecting today? Perhaps not, maybe not. Yeah, so I have some watercolor pencils here, water-soluble pencils, that I'm going to use to add a bit of detail to this. But I quite like the look of this. It starts to get dark already outside. The day is going fast. Sorry, I'm going to make a little bit of noise again. I have my hairdryer here. I will turn off my sound for a moment. So, as much as I can. There we go. So let's add in a little bit of detail. I'm going to use these pencils. I want to add in a bit of detail in green. So for the trees, I already had some orange and pink here. Some warm yellow, I think. Maybe a bit of a dark tone as well. Let's start with this. So where's my sharpener here? I don't know where this pencil came from. Swiss color, Caran d'Ache. I don't know, I have a set of these pencils. This is just a random pencil that I have, I don't know, found somewhere in my art materials. Caran d'Ache is a nice print, huh? A nice pencil folding. So my camera should come back again in a sec. There we go. So let's start with some of the trees. Shall I zoom in a little bit? You can see all the little blobs of color. So this is something I really like. I like the fact that you have all these different layers of color and you can see how they sort of overlap, and you can see some of the colors that we started with shine through. That's something that I really like. So let's add in a bit of shadow there. And also I can, if I want, activate these colors with a bit of water again, because these are water soluble pencils. I don't think I will, but I could if I wanted to. Oh, that's not good. So I'm just sharpening my pencil. I realized you couldn't see it. This is all very... I must have dropped this pencil at some point. How annoying. You always have to treat your pencils with a bit of gentleness and care. Yeah, that feels secure. Yeah, always treat your pencils with respect and with a bit of gentleness and care, because if they break on the inside here, I just had two of the tips breaking. It's probably because I've dropped this pencil. Yeah, it's just a bit of waste and also really annoying when you're trying to sharpen. When you're trying to sharpen it. So I'm looking at the colors that I'm using. So here I have this purple. If I add some of that yellow next to it, it complements each other nicely. So there we go. Is any of you doing any other online art classes or anything at the moment? Any art challenges that you're working on, or maybe there's art summits that you are part of? Anything interesting going on in the world of art classes? I think because I am a teacher, sometimes I don't know about what other people are doing. So there we go. Any art summits? I joined a few art summits earlier, like last year. I did Sketchbook Revival and a few other ones. I don't know if they are happening this year. I've had a little bit of contact with the organizer. She's not quite sure if she's going to host it again. Maybe I need to see if there's any other events happening, because it's always so much fun. The energy is just fantastic if you're joining in together with lots of other artists, and it's a really nice way for people to learn as well. Oh, thank you, Linda. It's really kind of you. I do. My life in general, like this week was just a really busy week, but I actually have a really good work-life balance, and like something like this is not very strenuous, isn't it? I'm painting with you all and it's really nice, but Yeah, you don't have to worry about me. I am looking after myself. I just look terrible on camera. But I don't really mind that. That's okay. And I'm covered up with lots of layers of warm clothes. And I've got my cup of tea here. So it's all good. See how the colors sort of start to match a little bit with this side. I like all the little scribbles that I'm adding here. Sun. I don't often do these watercolor sessions for my live streams. Usually we do like quick sketchbook sessions. Also because I do a lot of these sessions in my community where we paint like larger subjects. So I try to use YouTube and live streams and the community for different sort of purposes. Teach slightly different things in there. Yeah. There we go. I think I want the sky to be a little bit more blue. So I'm going to add a little bit more color there. See, you can always go back. I think it is blue. So you can always go back to painting. There's no rules. Sometimes it can feel like, oh, but I've moved on from painting and I've started to add pencil. There's no one who can tell you what to do apart from yourself. And of course there are certain things that don't work so well, but the best way of practicing it is just by trying it out. So sometimes if you have a bit of an idea and you want to try it out, the worst thing that can happen is that you mess up a painting, right? And that happens to the best of us, everyone. I'm sure Rembrandt also messed up a lot of paintings when he was learning, maybe even when he was really experienced. I'm 100% sure that he made paintings and we now think is amazing that he was really unhappy about, because that's just the nature of being human. Sorry. I also, you know how we've got this sort of piece of wood here and that mountain behind, and it's a bit hard to see which one is which. So I'm going to add in some shadows here as well. So I'll paint it a little bit darker. Does that work? Can we see the difference between one and the other? I think I might want to make that tree branch a little bit lighter, but so, ooh, that is a little bit dark, isn't it? It's okay, I can take some of it away. There we go. It's immediately a very different tone. Don't panic. It is going to be alright. So, there we go. So I just need some clean tissue. So this one. And I'm just going to soak some of that up. See, there we go. It's not quite as scary as we might have thought when we first put it down. See, that's the thing. We have a saying in Dutch, which is that you never eat the soup as hot as it is served. So no panic. It's never going to be as bad as you might think initially. There's quite a lot of leeway in there. But I do want a bit of a lighter color. Maybe here's some white. See if I can make this branch here a bit lighter. See, really make these two parts stand out from one another. So I can also add a bit of that to the sky. There we go. I think we might be almost finished. Am I missing something in the picture? I also really like if you have got quite intense colors and you go over it with pencil, then those lighter colors will stand out quite well in comparison to like on white paper. So suddenly you can use a white pencil and you can add details that would otherwise be really hard to see. So there we go. Maybe a little bit more here. I think they go together quite. I also like the fact that it's also a reflection. Like this was clearly a reflection in the water, and then this is sort of similar. So maybe a little bit more yellow, just because I love that warm yellow. It's one of my favorite colors. So what do you reckon? I think I might be finished. There we go. So thank you so much for joining in. I apologize for all the blowing noses and snottering. And I really hope that you have a really lovely rest of your afternoon. I know I will see some of you in the course tonight. So really looking forward to that. Make sure you bring some paint or painting as well for that event. So thank you so much for joining in. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always happy to answer them. Always happy to help out. And we will see each other soon. Bye bye.